が対馬に襲来した。血も涙もなく、ただひたすらに暴虐だ。我が方は80、無勢なれど対馬の民を守らねばならない。今日俺はこの命を捨てる。
Through good and bad times, I accept what is given and just try my best. こんにちは。僕はロクだ。これはマヤのチャンネルです。And here we respect different cultures without being weird about it. Today's review is of the best PlayStation exclusive of this generation. And boy, what a fight it was. This game had to beat Bloodborne, Uncharted 4, Spider-Man, and many more. Not you though.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Ghost of Tsushima is a love letter for any fans of Japanese culture, or people that have some interest on learning about it. It's a game that teaches you valuable lessons about life, honor, and culture, and then proceeds to teach you the most valuable one. Nothing is black and white, and sometimes we need to go gray. This game has some of the most beautiful dialogue, interactions, and scenes I've seen in any game recently. In a Japan already filled with war, famine, and poverty, we see the first invasion of the Mongol army firsthand in the island of Tsushima.
Monster kill.
But what is Tsushima? Tsushima is a small island between Japan and Korea. In Japanese mythology, Tsushima was one of the 8 original islands created by the Shinto deities Izanagi and Izanami. Archaeological evidence suggests that Tsushima was already inhabited by settlers from the Japanese archipelago and Korean peninsulas, from the Jomon period to the Kofun period. And the island even appears in Chinese old texts like the Record of the Three Kingdoms, where there are descriptions of a country called Duihai-Go, with a population of more than 1,000 households, which is commonly identified with Tsushima. And for many years, especially during feudal Japan, Tsushima was an important trading center and was center to many conflicts during the many years it was inhabited by both Japanese and Koreans alike. Nowadays, Tsushima is part of the Nagasaki prefecture and is a part of Japan. Tsushima is a place of peace with strong ties to fishing, and it's also a very attractive tourist location, especially for the South Koreans. Not as much for Northern Koreans though, cause they're probably busier trying to survive. Ghost of Tsushima talks about the first Mongol invasion of Japan. The game begins in 1274 with a Mongolian invasion fleet led by Khotum Khan, landing on the small Japanese island of Tsushima. Mounted samurai rush to battle and challenge Khotum to a one-on-one battle. This moment in the game shows how the Japanese see conflict as a matter of culture, respect, and honor, and how the Mongolians view combat as a means to an end. When the Khan quickly finishes off the battle by spitting alcohol and burning the honored samurai alive with a torch, they make it clear that those are two cultures so disparate, so different, that there would be no way they could resolve this with peace. Filled with fury, the samurai ride into war and are quickly decimated by the Mongolian squads. Most are killed and some are captured. Our hero, Sakai Jin, is saved by an unknown thief, desperate to save her brother who was captured by the Mongols, and our tale begins there. In his search to save his uncle Lord Shimura, who taught him the way of the samurai, Jin will have to do whatever it takes to save his people and his last family member alive. And it's exactly there, doing whatever it takes, that shocks itself with his samurai code, the Bushido. What is the Bushido though? History time. The Bushido, which translates as the way of the warrior, is an ancient set of codes of honor and conduct that dictated how a samurai should live his life. The Bushido consists of 8 virtues that dictate how a samurai must act at all times. The first one is called justice, gi. This dictates you should always be honest and believe in justice, not from other people but from yourself. To the true warrior's heart, all points are considered regarding honesty, justice, and integrity, and this is a big part of their lives. The second one is courage, yu. Hiding inside your shell is not considered living. A true warrior must face his fears. But heroic courage is not blind courage, but intelligence and strength. A samurai must live a complete life without fear or the avoidance of risk. Benevolence, jin. Through its life, a warrior survives many years of training, becoming much quicker and stronger than a normal person. This developed power must be used for good, with compassion. The true warrior helps his fellow man at every opportunity. If an opportunity does not arise, they go out of the way to find one. Respect, rei. True warriors have no reason for cruelty. They don't prove their strength. The true strength is not just proving yourself in battle, but also the way you deal with others. A true warrior shows his strength only in the most difficult of times. It's easy to cut someone, but hard to avoid doing so. Honesty, makoto. When warriors say that they will perform an action, it is as good as done. Nothing will stop them from completing what they say they will do. They do not have to give the word. They do not have to promise. Speaking and doing are the same action for a samurai. Honor, meiyo. Warriors have only one metric to judge honor and character, themselves. The decisions of a warrior carry out a perfect reflection of who they really are. One can never hide from himself. Loyalty, chuji. Warriors are responsible for everything that they have done and everything that they have said, and all of the consequences that follow. They are immensely loyal to all of those in their care. To everyone that they are responsible for, they remain fiercely true. And the last one, self-control, jisei. A true warrior controls himself perfectly and is not swayed easily by emotional distress. Your mind needs to always be as sharp as your sword. Those are the 8 virtues every samurai follows to heart. It's not about having the job done, but about doing what is right, no matter the odds. It doesn't matter how impossible the deed may seem. Better to die doing what's right than cowering in fear and living with the shame. I was once told that the chances of surviving a katana battle are less than 1%. That was due to the fact that samurai don't use armor at all, and katana are especially effective against flesh and bone due to its curvature in the blade. But that fact didn't mean I shouldn't fight. It meant I should give it my all and know that every battle could be my last. If a samurai survives a battle, he is reborn to fight another time and search for his destiny. Sakai-jin is unfortunately faced with a choice at the beginning of his tale: to betray the Bushido and win, or to keep it and die like an ant, along with all the other people in the Tsushima island. The choice he made is to fight. By betraying his samurai code entirely, Sakai-jin becomes much closer to a shinobi or ninja than a samurai, and that duality is seen throughout the whole game. Deal with the Mongolians with respect and by being direct, or fight them off one by one in the night like the ghost you've become. There are many ways to tackle Ghost of Tsushima, as its gameplay gives you much freedom on how to interact with enemies and events in the overworld. Combat can be initiated with a showdown, where Jin shouts for the strongest enemy willing to fight you fairly on a one-on-one battle. Or you can just run towards them with your horse and kill them instantly with double takedowns and deception. This heavily influences how the game plays for you, as most NPCs will usually whisper that they've never seen a samurai fighting like that and make you feel inadequate by default. And sometimes the game even guilt trips you with visions of you learning to be a honored warrior as a kid with your uncle, and even sometimes showing Khotun Khan taunting Lord Shimura about his men being killed with backstabs.
それが己らと我らの違いよ。
ならば、なぜ我が兵は背後から切られている？
堺は決してさような手を使わん。
戦では化けの皮が剥がれる。
ならば己は犬だな。不未来の下地でしか動けぬ哀れで臆病な犬だ。
Seconds after you jumped into an enemy and initiated a really cool takedown. The game could have implemented ways of preventing you from being a ninja, but it actually wants you to descend into this path of darkness, as this is all part of the way the narrative tells itself. You may try the direct honor way, but sometimes if you don't play dirty, you just get pummeled by those damn Mongols like the ant you are. Jin knows that, and you as a player also know it. So even though you are given the choice, you must do what it takes. That kind of storytelling told by the way you play the game is very interesting, as it shows the true power of video games as an interactive storytelling medium. It's the next step in the genre's evolution, and Ghost Punch outdid themselves here. Playing as Jin is amazing. His movement doesn't feel too slow or too fast. It feels like he is an extremely trained human being, but still a human being. You need skill to win and escape from bad situations, and the game gives you all the options you need, with takedowns, rolls, dodges, parries, light and strong attacks, long and short bows with normal arrows and effect arrows like burning or explosive, shinobi or ghost tools like smoke bombs and kunais are also available to confuse the enemies, and there are many fighting styles that are unlocked during the game to face the many different types of enemies you will encounter in Tsushima's world. Games with that many options usually end up being a press light attack fast, but not here. You really need to take what you do in combat into account, especially in higher difficulties where enemies are smarter and will use everything they got against you. Combats are very dynamic. You constantly need to shuffle between your many tools, weapons and fighting styles, and run through the enemies like the ghost you've become. Jin is a beast, and fighting with him is very satisfactory. Walking around the world is also really interesting, as Jin counts with his faithful horse that you choose at the beginning of the game, grappling hooks, parkour and even some climbing abilities. You feel free in the world of Tsushima, not as free as in Breath of the Wild where you can climb anything, but as free as it gets in a more realistic setting. This is a very open world place, where you can go wherever you want, in whatever direction you choose. This freedom has reason though, as the game's world is filled with collectibles that change the way you look and play. All of the game's upgrades are scattered across Tsushima Island in many different places. Stuff like temples, fox shrines and thermal pool baths are all around, and they make your character better or give you exclusive cosmetic. You really feel part of it all through the game's amazing graphics. On my PS4 Pro I didn't see any stutters, and the game actually feels amazing every time. The facial expressions, motion capture and overall world is absolutely perfect. Everything feels handmade. Every single flower, grass blade or old house looks incredible. And even though I've seen some comments about it looking artificial or too neutered, that is due to the fact that this place is just that beautiful. And we are not used to that in our silly cities full of grey and rats in the West. Tsushima is the most Instagram-friendly place in video game history, and we just need to accept that. The Kurosawa filter makes it even better, with all of the visual weirdness of older black and white Japanese movies. It looks just like an accurate Kurosawa movie would. The amazing graphics only help making it seem like those are real actors, and the action is unbelievable with this mode on. I just love how everything complements each other though. Every detail is so unique, but also complementary to the overall experience. The game's soundtrack is on another level, as you may have noticed as you have been listening to it through this whole review, and I believe you will agree. But it's not only the soundtrack, but also the sound effects. The way the wind blows through the speaker on the PS4 controller is amazing. You really feel it so close to you while you're playing. It makes you think why other games don't use this feature as much. I remember the Wii being very controller sound friendly, but the PS4 just isn't, and it should use more of it. The voice acting is also impeccable.
私はもう誰も守れぬ。復讐に囚われた身ではな。あの音楽が懐かしい。
なんと
よくここで孫と一緒に曲を奏でたのだ。新しい季節を迎えるたびに。もう二度と聞くことができぬとはな。
I couldn't find a single NPC with an off voice, and I was of course playing it in Japanese, and if I told you Sucker Punch is not a Japanese company, you will never believe it, because it's perfect. I've seen many Japanese people saying this game is commendable for its representation of feudal Japan, and I agree. It almost seemed that those weeaboos at Sucker Punch are more Japanese than the real Japanese people. The game also had a recent update with an online co-op mode that is pretty fun to play, but still it's overshadowed by the single-player experience. Sometimes you just find a piece of software that is so amazing that it gets called a system seller. Well, Ghost of Tsushima is the PlayStation 4 system seller.
星雲や風に揺れたる竹林に小春の影も我を誘う
Everyone should play Ghost of Tsushima, as its ideals of honor and duty will stay with you for many years after the credits end their natural role. Sakai Jin's adventure goes way beyond my rating system, but of course I rate this a 10 out of 10. It deserves much more than it got, and I don't know if even Cyberpunk 2077 will surpass the experience I've had in the beautiful island of Tsushima. This video is probably more of a love letter to Sucker Punch than a real review, but the amazing work they did on this game, I really have to say, keep going with this. It's a really good game, a really good concept, and they treat everything with so much respect that it's very commendable. This was an extensive one with some lessons about Japanese culture, but well, that's how it goes. You can't explain a game without explaining what it's about. And if you enjoyed this video, press the like button, subscribe, and ring that bell button down there for many more content and videos like that.
全て私のせいです。
ジン、それでも武士か。
父上は私をかばって
息子を守るため戦で死んだ。はない、それがモノノフ。これからはお前が意志を継げ。あやつの魂はこの太刀に宿っておる。これを父と思え。
どうもありがとうございました。またお会いしましょう。
明日わしの砦に来るがよい。迎え入れよう。今日は父に別れを告げろ。